give us the.
There we go. I think now we're good.
I think so.
All right. So I don't know if I'm supposed to hit that, but I will call the Apex Public Art Committee monthly meeting for June 16th, 2025 to order. And first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting, May 19th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting minutes pass. And now over to Taylor for the town report.
My report will be all in old business today.
Okay. Sounds great. And I will do the same on the chairperson's report. So we'll move to public comment. Do we have anyone for public comment?
Sure.
All right. Step right up. And so when you do your public comment, you state your name and your address.
Okay. Do I need to, is this being? All right. I'll try my best there. Hi, my name is Daniel Buck. My address is 105 Lindenberry Drive, Apex, North Carolina at Abington, basically. Just want to say I'm here to be involved and try and learn what's going on, as I understand you guys are going through a transition into what I think the name had a little bit of a concern. The CAAB, I think, is what I heard was the last thing. So I'll look forward to seeing what that officially gets for the Culture and Art Advisory Board. I just want to make myself available to know what's going on because I care about art and culture in Apex. And I want to say kudos to you guys for doing the good work and try and get some more people to show up. On that note, I'm curious, I heard last meeting about the interest in trying to find artwork throughout the area that is local cultural relevance or art that is of relevance in the area, and finding interesting ways that we can engage people on that so that, you know, we can have people go out and be more involved and let them know, hey, this is something I care about. You should come and tell people here at the CAAB that you should care about it too. So I'd be interested to hear more about that. Also, I was at an event at the Holly the other day, and I was talking to somebody who's a friend of mine, and they were asking, "Is like, you know, they've got all this artwork on the wall, but they don't mention, like, they have the name of the art piece, you know, it's acrylic art, 1995, whatever, but it doesn't say if it's a local artist or not. So I think that would be an interesting thing if the board can take some initiative on wherever there is a local art being displayed, making sure that we try and highlight when there are either local Apex or Wake County or North Carolina artists to kind of highlight that that's something they're coming from local people who are creating it here in town or in our community. And then the last thing, I happen to be paying more attention about what's going on with some of the things on Instagram, and I saw something mentioned about the structures that were destroyed, demolished, the E.H. Williams and Julia Horton house. And I'd be curious because there's a comment that some people were saying that they should put up a plaque about that. Used to be an old candy store and a boarding house. I think the mayor's daughter had something about that on Instagram. So those are just a few things that I've observed and bring them to your attention. Other than that, I intend to try and show up every month as much as I can and bring more people. So I'll just be kind of a silent observer, but as I see things, I'll let them know, sort of be your eyes and ears. So I look forward to helping you guys out on that.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll close public comment after that. Thank you. All right, old business. So mural, we were going to have Sean come out, but I guess there's a bit of a change of schedule. But the great progress on the mural looks amazing. So hopefully folks have had a chance to go out and maybe see it in progress. Still some work to be done. Any update on that, Taylor, as far as what he believes the timing will be to complete or anything like that?
Yes, he updated me this morning. So I had invited him to give a closing presentation for us. And he emailed me today and said it seems too early because he had some rain delays. He had an injury earlier in the process. Luckily not during the project. And he's doing okay. So he said that he was out there today and he plans to finish this week.
Okay, terrific.
And so weather pending, all of that should be done. But yeah, he's on his closing paintings
Okay,
there.
and then perhaps we bring him back at our last,
Yes.
or when he's done at our next meeting.
Yes, I asked him at
Okay.
our next meeting. Mm-hmm.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any questions or comments on that one? All right, next one up, crosswalk art. So Taylor.
Okay. So, as most of you guys know, we had 118 public feedback responses, which were given over to the Public Art Committee at the end of May. You guys summarized what you wanted to see in the draft 2, and I sent those over to artist Manthe. Manthe has a deadline of end of day today to review all of those and come up with draft number 2. As stated originally in the last meeting, so Tom, thank you for relaying my notes from our May meeting. Originally, we were going to go to council with the design on June 24th, but that is no longer happening on June 24th due to the NCDOT approval process required for that specific space. So they require a resolution first to be approved by council. So it's essentially, it's a document that the lawyers wrote up, and we're going to be presenting that to council on June 24th with the intentions behind this project. And that's a part of the NCDOT approval process. They do need to have a approved resolution, and then I'll be able to submit the design that will then be approved by the Public Art Committee first, and then we'll move over to NCDOT to have them review it. They'll come back with ideas, requirements, things like that, and then we'll be able to bring them to council. I was mentioning it to some supervisors. We'd like to bring to council the very last possible design possible, so that we don't have to keep coming back and saying, hey, NCDOT had to switch this over. So that way they're the last and final yes to the design. So as soon as I get Manthe's final design for draft number 2, I'll send it to you to get some feedback, see where we're at. And if we're ready to move it on to NCDOT, I've got the rest of the application done. So we're just waiting on that. It's actually a very interesting process with NCDOT. They are more interested about like the background as to why we're choosing the specific space, why we chose the specific design, why we chose the artist, and the artist's background as well. How much information do they have in their artist bio and items like that. So it was actually really interesting to see what they're reviewing in their process.
Is that because it's a DOT managed road, or?
It's a specific DOT location because it's a
Okay.
crosswalk. Yes.
Okay, but if it was a Town of Apex road managed, even if it was a crosswalk on that, would they still get involved? Or
I would have to get clarification
sure.
because last I understood it's an Apex road, an Apex managed road,
Yeah.
but it is something about the crosswalk requires it to be an NCDOT approved design. So I need to understand the difference between what actually needs to go to NCDOT and what doesn't, because originally it did not need to go to NCDOT.
Okay.
And then throughout the process, as we kept getting closer to submitting a design, it needed to go to NCDOT.
Yeah, that would be great for, to learn about that. So for
Absolutely.
future projects, we know whether to build that into the timeline or not. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do they have
I
any
agree.
commitment on how long they take to turn around their feedback?
Yes, I talked to my representative. Let me see if I brought that email. If I remember correctly, he said 3 to 4 weeks, but that's dependent on the board's approval or requiring a resubmittal.
Okay.
So we should hear back within the next few weeks if we get an approval from y'all with Manthe's new design.
Okay. Very good.
We don't need to go through a second round of public comment on that.
That's correct. We do not need to go through a second round of public comment with public feedback, with the exception of the public hearing that will be in front of council. And that was approved by the lawyers.
Okay. Good stuff. Any other questions on that one? All right. Thanks, Taylor. Then right back at you. Video project.
Absolutely. So I reviewed the well, the video footage from last month's meeting, and there were some things in addition, some side meetings that we had that I had to relay over to our department directors. They are still working through answers for next steps on the departmental and director level. So at this time, I do not have any new updates as in comparison to the May meeting.
Okay. Let us know if there's anything else you need from us on the follow-up
Absolutely.
stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, very good. Sculpture walk. So the voting is now complete on the public side, and so we need to arrange a time where we can provide our input for the best in show. I want to keep the public voting. We'll keep that under wraps until we do our thing, so there's independence as much as possible with that, and then we'll kind of share them both at a future meeting. Okay. We'll have to, maybe that's something that we figure out offline, the timing to get that feedback from this group on the best in show selection, and we can just make sure we get that done by the next meeting. So I'll take the action to kind of work out a process on how we would do that and get that input. And it might be just individual input from people, there might be small groups or something like that, so we'll figure that out. Okay. All right, any questions on that at this point? Okay. Art guy, okay, go ahead, yeah.
I didn't speak loud fast enough.
That's fine, sure.
Do you know about how many votes we got from the public?
In the neighborhood of total votes, about between like 450 in that.
That's great. Okay, wonderful. That's all I have.
Okay, sure. All right, art guide. Susan, anything?
Okay,
new on
nothing new. I think, Taylor, I think you were looking into some legal aspects, and also we were going to try to set a meeting up next month.
Yep.
I think that's still pending.
Yes, so
Yeah.
I did talk to legal. When
Yeah.
it comes to working with private entities, essentially all we would need is permissions from them via email. So
Okay.
that would mean permissions to take a photo, permissions to reach out to the artist, that kind of thing. As long as it's all written in an email, you can document and send that to me. It doesn't necessarily have to come from me. As long as you're representing the committee properly, that's no problem. You just want to CC me on that. So legal said an email is just fine for that. And then when it comes to the meeting, yes, Susan, you and I have a meeting the second week of July. I believe it is the 7th. Mhm. And if anybody else would like to be on that meeting, it is during the workday, but just let me know and I can always send you the details.
Okay.
I was going to say that I did notice a new sculpture went up near the engineering office on the Peakway. It looks like one of TJ's.
It is.
Yeah.
Is it a wolf?
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one that we can use.
Yeah.
Do you think? Yeah.
Yes, for
Mhm.
sure. Jeff will provide.
Yeah.
No problem, I'm sure.
There's
So I have
also,
his contact information.
Okay, good.
there are also a couple murals painted at Ava Perry Library.
Ah.
I took some photos. I
Okay.
keep meaning to drop them in Slack, but I have not yet, so I'll share.
Oh, good. Good. Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments on that?
Susan or anyone on the committee, are we building an Excel form or a Word document with all of the places that we're finding? Is there a central place that we're building that right now?
I don't
Maybe
think
I
so.
can start
Currently,
one.
currently no.
Maybe I can start one for us
Yeah,
and
yeah.
drop it into
Sorry.
Slack. Okay.
No, but no.
A share drive or something, because
Absolutely.
I have a ton of them.
Okay, great. Yeah, I can just create a basic one. We can start throwing things in
That'd be
there.
great. Yeah,
Sounds
thank
great.
you.
Hi, Lafayette.
Hello.
Thank you, Taylor, for taking care of that.
Of course.
Okay.
Hi, welcome.
Do we have one at one point?
I don't know if we did for that.
No,
We
maybe
may
that's
or may
something
not.
else.
I'm
Okay.
not sure.
I'll see if I can find something.
So, okay. All right. next item up was Artist in Residence Program from Brad.
Yeah, and this just to kind of bring up to speed, Taylor, refresh everybody, and I owe you an email about this, but the idea is 6 month to 1 year artist in residence program, sponsoring an artist to come, local artists in the town, potentially giving them some shared studio space, but requiring an exchange for shared studio space and a small stipend, public lecture or artist talk, one type of collaborative or participatory art engagement with the town, and then one additional form of engagement that they'll be able to pitch, such as a community workshop, youth class, or open studio session. And probably initially it'd be between 6 months to a year, maybe starting 6 months to kind of not trial it, but just make sure we have everything in place and see how it goes. And the idea would be potentially also including a Peak Fest presentation, whether we have a booth there and there would be kind of a presenter at the booth as an engagement for the town. But I have a proposal that I dropped on Slack last month, and I will refine that into a final proposal based on feedback. I'll send another email out for feedback. And then Taylor, I will reach out to you about what might be possible as far as kind of partnership in the town and what just I'll share some information about what other towns are doing and see what could be possible in Apex.
Great. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I've talked to other cultural arts managers in the surrounding area, and they have similar residency programs. So yeah, I'd love to see the information that you have from surrounding areas as well. Thank you. Thanks for presenting that.
Good, thanks for putting that together. Any questions or comments for Brad?
Thinking about like Peak Fest, like having them be there. Is there like other? I mean, we could use them for other, or not use them, but they could be part of other festivals as well. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, and the timeline for this, I'm imagining, is get kind of information about what's possible in Apex for the next meeting, and then coming in and kind of presenting the final idea of what it would be like, and then if that goes through, we can start working out the details about maybe when it would start, and then based on that, what the engagements, kind of the required engagements versus the optional engagements they may want to do.
Cool. Thanks.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. The last one in old business was crosswalk art for Hunter Street Park. Sean.
Nothing new in there. I've got some kind of mock-ups done, but I want to share them with us again, since I have the kind of the luxury of sharing with us before it then goes to be shared with public, I guess.
Yeah.
And I need to get feedback again, as I was saying before. The feedback kind of disappears from Slack, so I need to see if I can get some from the group, make any changes, and then present it.
Okay, so you'll post those when you're ready in the next week or so, or whenever.
Next couple of days probably.
Sounds good. Now, those being basically going across parking lots, Taylor, would you think that would be exempt from this DOT process, or do you think that'll be included?
Since I just heard about the NCDOT process last week,
Sorry about that.
I will reach out to them
Okay.
as well as traffic management and planning to make sure we're on top of the front end of permitting required. I'm not aware. I know that not only is it town operated, town owned property, it is within a park. So I don't know if that creates maybe a little easier way to get to it, but I'll get some more clarification from, I wrote down 3 different departments that I'm going to reach out to tomorrow to see what the process would be for that.
Great, thank you. All right, and that's it for old business. So new business, we have a calendar in front of us. So Ashley, I don't know if you want to let us know some things about the calendar.
Good evening, everyone. Ashley Gentry, Deputy Town Clerk. I do want to just recognize real quick, we do have a few residents who are starting to get more interested in the Public Art Committee, soon to be called the Cultural Arts Advisory Board. So the application to apply is on our website, so you can always apply there anytime, 24/7. So we do have one position open, and we also have a voting youth position that is also open. So I just wanted to put that out there for anyone who does want to apply in the coming, at any time they want to choose. So moving on for the meeting schedule for the fiscal year 25-26. This is the, I'm here to present the proposed meeting schedule for the Culture and Arts Advisory Board for the fiscal year 25-26. This is the last time I'm going to say Public Art Committee. So, so this is the last meeting you will see Public Art Committee. Everything will change to Culture and Arts Advisory Board.
Is it
You might,
clear? Is it culture and arts or cultural arts?
it's Culture and Arts
Okay, got it.
Advisory Board. You might have seen previously it was Arts and Culture Advisory Board, but we have recently learned that that acronym is not a very good acronym for police officers, so learned something new there. So now it is going to be called Culture and Arts Advisory Board, CAAB for the acronym. Okay? So, so here is your meeting schedule for the next 25-26 calendar or fiscal year. You will notice it is was the third Mondays of each month are your regular scheduled meetings. You will notice Monday, January 26, 2026, that is actually the fourth Monday because the Martin Luther King is the third Monday, so the next scheduled Monday, which is the 26th, will be your meeting. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. The third Monday of each month, starting at 6 o'clock here in the chambers. All meetings will be live streamed. Attendance is now tracked. Just wanted to make that noted. So any missed meetings, 3 consecutive meetings, or 25% within 12 months. The council, mayor and council has asked to keep that, to be put that on the consent agenda quarterly. So that is going to be evaluated now quarterly at each quarterly meeting. So if no one has any other questions, or if anyone would like to ask a question or concerns, we can now adopt the meeting schedule.
I do have a quick question
Yes.
about the attendance.
Yes.
What determines an absence? If I come in 2 minutes before the meeting's over, have I joined the meeting?
Yeah, you were here.
Okay, just curious. Perfect, thank you.
You were here. Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, go ahead, Tal.
One thing I did mention to the group in our pre-email, which included the agenda and the meeting minutes, as well as the schedule, was the absence of the July 2025 meeting. Ashley, do you want to give a little reasoning behind why the other boards typically have July off, and then we can discuss whether or not this group wants to have the July off?
Okay, sure. So normally we do have, most of other boards do have no July meetings. School, a lot of members have children, or a lot of conflict with quorum issues or vacation matter and all that. So a lot of boards have elected to opt out of their July meetings or merge, like, for example, like a November and December into one meeting. Again, this would probably be, you could merge July, August into one meeting. So you can do something like that if you choose to. So it's your discretion to have a July meeting or not to have a July meeting.
Could we use that as a workshop session?
There's some rules around workshops that basically, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but workshops are also live streamed
Correct.
and have almost the same formality. So in essence, it would be like having a meeting.
Correct. We'd still take the minutes. It'd still be pretty much the same as a meeting. Yeah.
Never mind.
Yep.
But yeah, any other discussion or people that favor one way or the other on the July?
Is there anything in July that's agenda driven?
Good question. Yeah, do we have anything that we need to vote on by July? Taylor, you think?
The only, sorry, I'm trying to find my front page here. The only thing I can think of would possibly be crosswalk art, but that would be if council was having July meetings. Council also takes July off for July meetings.
Oh, I see.
So, in essence, the last council meeting before their first August one is next Tuesday, which we're already presenting at.
Oh, I see.
So there wouldn't be anything up for discussion that we couldn't have through our subcommittee conversations.
Okay.
Worst case, you could always call a special meeting if something happens, and then we can reevaluate maybe next year's calendar if you guys start getting more work involved, more involvement.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other conversation on the calendar?
You good?
If not, I guess, is there a motion to accept this calendar?
I'll make a motion to accept the fiscal year schedule for 2025-26 as presented.
You can second that.
And we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope, the motion carries. All right, we have our calendar. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. Anything else that's not on the agenda for today?
There's one thing that came to my attention on social media. I don't know who it was. Somebody had posted, I think the bus stop painting is chipping and coming up, and I think it was a private citizen that posted and was wondering if there's what can be done about that.
They were also asking about shelter at that bus location.
Yeah,
I believe it was by Publix Point.
I guess so, yes.
Yeah, I think it was by
Publix.
Publix Point.
Yeah.
What were they mentioning about the show?
They were mentioning that the surface was slick, it was peeling up, and it was very hot while they're waiting for buses. So, and I believe somebody in that thread said contact. I think it was Angela Franke. Is she transit? No, I'm thinking of a
She's
different.
not.
Okay.
No.
They said the person who in my head it was
Sure.
the appropriate person.
Yes, of course. So I've been in touch with Katie Schwing.
That's it. It was Katie.
Who's in planning, and she did some of the work with the bus stop painting this past year. Sean, you probably know her as well as Shannon Cox as well. They do have two options for what they're thinking at the end of this calendar year. They had mentioned either having them touched up or doing additional options like additional murals, or having them touched up and then sealed, because that was the one thing they wanted to see how long the paint lasted without a seal. So none of the crosswalks, it's on my mind, bus stops have like an official seal on them. They are just that concrete paint. So they're working through those. They were going to originally allow their test until the end of the calendar year, but I anticipate with more information coming in about the quality of how they've been lasting, I feel like it'll probably be earlier.
Yeah, because there's several that's happening too, not just the one.
Yeah, I've been trying to pay attention as I'm driving by, and
Yeah.
well, some of them
Yes,
look really
it's
good.
difficult.
Yeah, some of them look really good.
Yeah, I know we've mentioned there's one or two in downtown that
Yeah.
looks a little beat up. So they are aware, and they're trying to figure out their options for what they can do next.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Yeah, good one to bring up. Any others?
Random thought that just came up from a couple of conversations is our communication in Slack.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have anything we can use as like a culture and arts advisory board for the town of Apex that's a little bit more like
Robust.
long-term, robust? Yes, and then we can use to like share notes, share ideas, share anything like that versus like a random Slack that disappears.
So currently we use a messaging system called Slack. in order to communicate with one another and send, documents, PDFs and whatnot, with the exception of email. Are other boards currently using any form of external, like, drives to submit paperwork to one another, anything like that you're aware of?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
we don't have anything like that. The clerk's office has, is working on some kind of system like that. We are through our agenda management system. So we have tacked on, boards and commissions with that, but I'm not familiar with that platform quite yet and what it looks like and how that internal process will look like to try to get that data to you. So I can't speak on that yet, but we are, the clerk's office is aware of something. Hopefully we can manage that internal process at some point.
Okay, so just make sure I'm following what you're saying. Some sort of, whether it's messaging or not, but some sort of place to share documentation, photos, PDFs, things like anything like that, or like a like.
I'll get back to you.
Okay, that's fine. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
In addition to that, I may be able to talk with IT and see if there are permissions to having a link-only OneDrive folder that we could at least drop information in there. It would not be a messaging system, but it would be an easy way to say, oh, it's in our OneDrive. You can look at, you can look it up right now, and it wouldn't dissolve. I think that's one of the things with Slack. After a certain amount of time,
With a free Slack,
it
yeah.
dissolves. Yeah.
I think it'd be good, especially just with as much visual media and just other things like that we have. I think it'd be nice to be able to have something that's just a little bit more permanent.
Yeah, absolutely. Something with a little more storage as well.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
We'll both, if you don't mind as well, also looking into that, we'll both look into options.
Cool, thank you.
Great, thanks.
All right. Anyone else? Lafayette, you had something?
So I have 4 quick points. I'll try to hit very quickly. So the first thing I wanted to say was regarding the official name of the committee now being the Cultural and Arts Advisory Board. Does our scope inherently change in any way with the name change, or is it exactly the same, Ashley?
Yes. So
And I'm sorry if we covered this earlier.
we did not actually. So at the next meeting on the 24th, we will be adopting the updated town code, and as well as what you're in reference to, the town code regarding the language, culture, and arts, and the scope and et cetera for that.
Okay, so one of the reasons why I'm asking that is because there's an education piece to that with respect to the town. Maybe an opportunity for the name change for us to put it out there for people who may not know what the first name meant, but now know what the second name will mean and what it means overall. So you have an educational opportunity that you just put out there. Why do I say that? Because I mentioned it briefly. Excuse me. I mentioned it briefly in previous meetings that I am the administrator for 3 very large Facebook pages.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to Sean about taking some images from our Instagram page and kind of, cross-pollinating them across other social media platforms. One of them is 25,000 people, and the other one is about 17 or 18,000. And then I recently just launched Apex Pulse of the Peak as well. So I'm managing all 3 of those. Again, not because I have the time, because I don't. But I just think they're an excellent opportunity to put information out there. And it's the perfect forum to do that, right? But I wanted to do that, obviously, with the new name. I obviously want to take the opportunity to explain what the new name may mean, that kind of a thing, right? Because there's a lot of eyes on there, and it's very busy. People will ask. And then, but I didn't want to do that until I didn't want to say what I thought it was. I want to say officially per charter what it would be and what the what the committee does, so forth and so on, just a formal blurb.
Sure, and I can get that for you if I can email you. And I just want to make sure it's okay on my communications department as well for you to put stuff out there.
It shouldn't be an issue, in my opinion, but you let me know if there is for social media.
Sure.
I can give you the names of the pages if you want.
Yeah, if you could send those pages to the whole group.
Yeah, I will.
That would be
I will.
great.
I will
And Ashley,
definitely
if you
do
could
that.
send the information to the whole
I'll
group.
Okay.
So that would be terrific. Yeah, thank you.
And then the last thing was, I know we touched on some old business, and I didn't know if any of those things that we talked about required anybody. Did anybody need any assistance with anything? Susan, I know you touched on the art guy, and I wasn't here for your presentation, but I don't know if anybody needs some help with anything.
Okay.
Not like I have these
Thank you.
Facebook pages to manage. But
Yeah, I think once Taylor and I have the meeting on the 7th of July with the town of Apex person that's going to help us with this, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Perfect. All right.
And I'll get the meeting information out to the group so that if you're available and you want to join, you can, of course, for that one.
All right.
Lafayette, you're just asking about just promoting the Culture and Arts Advisory Board, right? That's all you're talking about, right?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. It's just a promotion.
With that, I'm just kind of piggybacking off that. Could I just go to any random page and just be like, hey, there's a committee or there's a board in Apex that does this stuff? Would that have to get approved, or does it? Can I at any time just say, hey, there's this thing out here that exists? I'm just curious.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Promoting the town
Right.
in a good way.
Totally.
So, in my opinion, and I am nobody.
Yeah, but that's not true.
I don't see why not.
Okay.
I just always like to get confirmation through
So-
my
Yeah.
communications department, but just like LinkedIn, you're sharing stuff, you're promoting stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
In the pantheon of things that are promoted on these pages, and it's broad, we're good.
I could just see the issue.
Trust me, it-
as a board member,
Yeah.
like, not
Yeah,
wanting
that
to
would be
speak
the only
officially as
thing
part
to
of the town,
confirm.
Yeah, for sure.
but a random citizen.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. Just got me thinking.
Some of the sculptures and things like
Absolutely.
that. You know, just
Yeah, general promotional.
beautification.
We have
you know,
a
positive
brand
stuff.
new sculpture walk,
That's
or
it.
this mural was just debuted this day.
Very generic. Very
Yeah.
generic.
For a comment like that, do we have official social media channels? We have an Instagram account,
Yeah,
don't we?
we use Instagram. That's it, and then the town reposts that through their social media.
Sean, you still updating the information?
I have not.
I've been the one that's mostly been doing
You're
it.
doing it?
Yeah.
If there's a statement to be made on one of these pages, would it be from the official account?
Well, I mean, we could use a variety of accounts. I don't see. I mean, Ashley's going to check on it. Sounds like just to make sure from our official position, but our Instagram account's really available for us to use, and for that kind of purpose. But we'll have to change that too because this is Apex Public Art. Yeah, but it's a good question. I mean, I think we can use it.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other new stuff?
One last thing,
Okay.
I was asked to extend an invitation. So the National Parks and Recreation Month is the month of July. And as you know, our committee, as it sits right now, does fit under the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department. And the council will be doing a proclamation for the National Parks and Recreation Month on Tuesday, June 24th. Everything's happening on June 24th at the 6 p.m. meeting. I hope that's going to be a long meeting, I'm sure. It's going to be right here, Town Hall. It starts at 6 o'clock. We would love to see the Public Art Committee, or soon to be the Culture and Arts Advisory Board, present, if at all possible, or at least a couple members. What would typically happen is it's relatively towards the beginning of the meeting. We do the typical beginning parts of the meeting with the moment of silence or the invocation. I'm having a
Pledge.
blank. Thank you, the
Pledge.
pledge. I was like, and then the flag. Sorry, it's been a long day, but I'm sure it's for everybody else. Yes, absolutely. So the beginning of the meeting, and then we have consent, and then we move on to special presentations with the proclamation. And so the National Parks and Recreation Month proclamation will be at the time. So it wouldn't be too far after 6 o'clock if you'd like to come in. And council typically takes a picture with those who are here in representation of that as well. So it'd be great to see you guys here. It is Tuesday the 24th. So not tomorrow, but the following Tuesday.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you.
That's good. All right, anything else? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
And there's a motion,
I'll second.
there's a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.